They laughed at your silence, until your presence started shaking every room you walked into. They thought you were just another face in the crowd, another shadow passing through their little world. But deep down, something felt different about you from the very beginning. You carried pressure without breaking. You stayed calm while chaos swallowed everybody else. And now, reality just smacked them in the face. Every doubt they had about you turned into fear, respect, and confusion. Because the truth is brutal, you were never ordinary. You've been that one from day one. And now they finally see what was standing in front of them all along. They looked at you and made their decision too fast. Before you even had the chance to speak, they already placed limits on your future inside their minds. They judged your silence as weakness, your patience as fear, and your calm energy as something ordinary. That's how people operate when they only understand loud confidence and fake power. They never realized that the most dangerous person in the room is usually the one who doesn't need attention to feel important. While everybody else was busy proving themselves, you were busy building yourself. Plans from the very beginning, people underestimated your ability because they couldn't read you. You didn't move like everybody else. You didn't beg for validation. You didn't chase approval from crowds that change opinions every 5 minutes. That confused them. And whenever people feel confused by someone they can't control, they automatically assume that person is less important than they actually are. That's why they laughed too early. That's why they ignored your potential. They thought your quiet nature meant you had no fire inside you. Meanwhile, the entire time, you were carrying storms in your mind that would break weaker people instantly. The funny thing is, people only respect results after they appear. Nobody respects the process. Nobody respects the lonely nights, the pressure, the overthinking, the discipline, or the moments you almost gave up but kept moving anyway. They only notice the glow after the darkness is gone. That's why they never saw your evolution happening in real time. Every setback was secretly sharpening you. Every betrayal taught you how people truly operate. Every moment they doubted you forced you to become mentally stronger. They accidentally created the version of you they fear today. You stayed quiet while they talked too much. You stayed focused while they chased distractions. You kept learning while they kept laughing. And slowly, without announcing it, you started becoming impossible to ignore. Your energy changed. Your mindset changed. The way people reacted to your presence started changing too. Suddenly, the same people who once overlooked you began watching your every move. Not because you asked them to. Because real power naturally demands attention. The truth that smacked them in the face was simple. You were never weak. You were just patient. There's a massive difference between the two. Weak people break under pressure. Patient people absorb pressure until the perfect moment arrives. And when your moment finally came, it exposed everybody who misjudged you from the start. They expected you to stay average forever. They expected life to crush your confidence. Instead, every hardship turned into fuel. Now they replay old memories in their heads, trying to understand how they missed the signs. But the signs were always there. Your resilience was there. Your intelligence was there. Your hunger was there. They just couldn't recognize greatness before it became obvious. Most people can only believe in something after the world confirms it for them. That's why visionaries, leaders, and powerful minds are almost always underestimated in the beginning. And maybe that was necessary, because being underestimated gave you freedom. Freedom to grow without distractions. Freedom to sharpen your mind without fake applause. Freedom to become dangerous without anyone preparing for what you would eventually become. There is something terrifying about a person who no longer feels the need to explain themselves. That kind of silence makes people uncomfortable because they can't predict it, control it, or manipulate it. While everybody else was wasting energy arguing, defending themselves, and trying to win attention, you mastered the art of staying quiet and watching everything. And without realizing it, your silence became more powerful than the noise surrounding you. People thought your silence meant you had nothing to say. They assumed you were weak because you didn't react instantly. In a world addicted to over-explaining and emotional outbursts, calmness looks strange. But what they failed to understand is that silence is not emptiness. Sometimes silence is observation. Sometimes it is discipline. Sometimes it is restraint. And sometimes it is a warning sign that a person has learned more than they reveal. Ben, you started noticing something important about people. The louder they talked, the more they exposed themselves. They revealed their insecurities, their jealousy, their fake confidence, and their desperation for validation. Meanwhile, the less you spoke, the more powerful your presence became. Silence forced people to think about you. It created mystery around your intent. They never knew what you were planning, what you were feeling, or how much you truly understood. That started driving them insane. Ben, while others kept showing every card in their hand, you learned to keep yours hidden. That changed the entire game. People can attack predictable behavior, but they struggle against someone they cannot fully read. Your silence protected your energy. It protected your goals. It protected your peace. And most importantly, it protected your focus from people who secretly wanted to distract you from becoming stronger. Plans, there were moments when you wanted to respond. Moments when disrespect burned inside your chest. Moments when you wanted to prove yourself to people who doubted you. But eventually you realized something brutal. Not every battle deserves your voice. Some people only provoke reactions because they feed off emotional chaos. The second you stop giving them access to your emotions, their power disappears completely. That's when silence stops being passive and starts becoming strategic. Your silence also forced you to grow mentally. Instead of constantly talking about your dreams, you started working on them quietly. Instead of announcing every move, you started building in private. And while people underestimated your calmness, you were transforming yourself behind the scenes. Day by day, your discipline became sharper. Your awareness became stronger. Your emotional control became deadly. The same silence they mocked started shaping you into someone far more dangerous than they expected. Then something unexpected happened. People started paying attention to your silence more than their own voices. They noticed how calm you stayed under pressure. They noticed how little affected you emotionally. They noticed that while everyone else was losing control, you remained composed. That level of control intimidates people because it reflects inner strength most of them do not have. Lenge, now your silence carries weight. When you speak, people listen carefully because they know you don't waste words. When you walk into a room, your energy says more than long speeches ever could. And the truth is, silence became your greatest weapon because it forced people to underestimate you. Duck. While you quietly became stronger than all the noise around you. Most people look powerful when life is easy. They smile when everything works in their favor, speak confidently when they feel safe, and act strong when nothing is testing them. But pressure changes everything. Pressure strips away fake confidence and exposes what truly exists underneath a person's surface. And when life started applying pressure to you, something unexpected happened. Instead of collapsing, you transformed. Baines at first. The weight felt unbearable. Disappointments, sorrows, disappointments, the rations read. The stress, the disappointments, the betrayals, and the silent battles in your mind felt like too much for one person to carry. There were nights when your thoughts became louder than the world around you. Nights where nobody understood what you were fighting internally. Everybody saw your face, but nobody saw the pressure sitting behind your eyes. And maybe that's what changed you the most. Learning how to survive battles nobody even knew existed. Pressure has a strange way of revealing character. Weak people panic the moment life becomes uncomfortable. They search for shortcuts, excuses, or somebody else to blame. But you slowly became different. Every painful situation forced another layer of strength out of you. Every setback sharpened your mindset. Every betrayal taught you how to read people more carefully. The very things designed to break your spirit ended up building a stronger version of you instead. The pressure forced you to adapt. You became mentally sharper because you had no choice. You learned how to stay calm in situations that would destroy other people emotionally. While everybody else reacted with panic, anger, or desperation, you learned how to think clearly under stress. That alone separated you from most people. Because true power is not about controlling perfect situations. True power is staying composed when everything around you feels unstable. There was a moment when you realized something important. The pressure was not your enemy. It was your training ground. Every difficult experience was shaping your endurance, your discipline, and your emotional control. Life kept increasing the weight because you kept surviving what should have crushed you. And the more pressure you handled, the more dangerous your mindset became. You stopped fearing hard moments because hard moments had already transformed you before. People who underestimated you could not understand this transformation. They only saw the calm version of you standing in front of them now. They did not see the sleepless nights, the overthinking, the disappointment, or the emotional battles you survived alone. They didn't witness the internal wars that forced you to become stronger. That's why your presence feels different now. There is hidden pain behind your confidence. There is experience behind your silence. There is survival behind your composure. And pressure also taught you who people truly are. Some disappeared the second things became difficult. Some secretly enjoyed watching you struggle. Others doubted whether you would survive at all. But pressure revealed something even more important: your own resilience. It showed you that your limits were far beyond what anybody imagined, including yourself. Now you carry yourself differently because you know what you survived. Small problems no longer shake you the way they used to. Drama no longer controls your emotions. Fear no longer stops your movement. The pressure that was supposed to destroy your confidence ended up creating unshakable mental strength instead. And that is what terrified them in the end. Not just your success, not just your growth, but the realization that pressure didn't weaken you. It revealed your true power. At some point, people stopped seeing you as just another person in the room. Something shifted. The energy changed the moment you walked in, and even the people who pretended not to notice could feel it. You were no longer invisible, no longer easy to overlook. Your presence started carrying a weight that couldn't be ignored, and that terrified the same people who once underestimated you. Tamiens, the strange thing about real presence is that it doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't beg for attention or force respect. It naturally changes the atmosphere without saying much at all. It's exactly what happened with you. After everything you survived, every lesson you learned, and every battle you fought in silence, your energy became different, sharper, colder, stronger. People could sense that you were no longer the same version they once doubted. You stopped chasing approval from people who never truly valued you. You stopped shrinking yourself just to make insecure people comfortable. And the second you became fully comfortable with your own power, everything around you started shifting. The same rooms that once ignored your voice suddenly became quiet when you spoke. The same people who laughed too early started watching you more carefully. Not because you demanded respect, but because your growth forced them to recognize it. Your presence changed the game because it exposed how fake many people really were. Some only respected confidence when it looked loud and flashy, but your confidence became calm, controlled, and dangerous. You didn't need to dominate conversations to control attention anymore. Your silence alone created pressure. People started overthinking your reactions, studying your expressions, and wondering what was happening inside your mind. That level of psychological control is something most people never achieve. What made your presence even more powerful was the fact that it came from experience, not performance. Anybody can fake confidence for a few moments. Anybody can act strong when life feels easy. But your energy came from surviving situations that would mentally destroy weaker people. Every scar, every disappointment, every lonely moment shaped the aura you carry now. That's why people feel something heavy around you even when you barely speak. The people who once doubted you became uncomfortable because your growth reminded them of their own limitations. They expected you to remain stuck in the same position forever. They expected fear to stop you. They expected pressure to break your spirit. Instead, you evolved quietly while they stayed distracted. And now every achievement, every improvement, and every moment of confidence feels like proof that they completely misjudged you from the start. You also learned something powerful along the way. Presence is not about being feared by everyone. It's about being impossible to ignore. Real presence comes from self-control, emotional discipline, and complete belief in yourself. The moment you stopped needing external validation, your energy became authentic. And authentic energy always changes the environment around it. Similar now, when you enter a room, people feel it immediately. Some admire it, some envy it. Some become nervous around it because they can sense the mental strength behind your calm expression. But whether they admit it or not, they know one thing for certain: your presence changed the entire game. You are no longer playing by the expectations people created for you. You became something they failed to prepare for. And that realization hit them harder than any words ever could. For the longest time, people only saw the version of you they wanted to believe in. They saw your silence and called you weak. They saw your patience and called you passive. They saw your kindness and assumed you had no edge, no darkness, no power hidden underneath your calm exterior. They built an entire image of you inside their minds, without ever truly understanding who you were. And the worst part is, they became so confident in their assumptions that they never imagined they could be completely wrong. But truth has a dangerous habit of revealing itself over time. You didn't expose yourself through loud speeches or desperate attempts to prove your worth. You revealed yourself through endurance, through growth, through the way you survived situations that were supposed to destroy you mentally. While people were busy underestimating you, life was quietly shaping you into something stronger, sharper, and far more dangerous than they expected. Every betrayal hardened your awareness. Every lonely night strengthened your discipline. Every moment of pressure forced another hidden layer of power. to rise to the surface. At first, nobody noticed the transformation happening inside you. Real change is silent in the beginning. It happens behind closed doors, inside painful thoughts, during moments where nobody claps for your progress. While people chase distractions and temporary validation, you were rebuilding your mind piece by piece. You learned how to control your emotions instead of letting emotions control you. You learned how to stay calm while chaos surrounded you. Most important, you learned how to stop seeking approval from people who never truly understood your value in the first place. That changed everything. The version of you standing in front of them now feels completely different because it is different. Your eyes carry experience now. Your silence carries meaning now. Your energy carries weight now. People can feel that you've survived things they know nothing about. And even if they cannot fully explain it, they sense the shift immediately. The same person they once ignored now walks with quiet confidence that cannot be shaken easily. Realization hit them hard. Lane, because now they are forced to confront the truth they avoided for so long. You were never ordinary. You were simply evolving in silence while they underestimated you loudly. The strength they see today didn't appear overnight. It was built through pressure, pain, self-control, and survival. While they spent time judging you, you spent time mastering yourself. And there is nothing more intimidating than a person who has learned how to control their own mind under pressure. Some people now admire you quietly because they finally understand your resilience. Others feel uncomfortable around you because your growth exposes their own lack of discipline. And some secretly regret the way they treated you when they thought you had no power. But the most satisfying part is that you no longer need any of them to validate your transformation. Their recognition became irrelevant the moment you stopped doubting yourself. You also started understanding people more clearly. You learned that many individuals only respect visible success. They cannot recognize potential while it is still developing. They only believe in strength after the world confirms it for them. That's why visionaries, leaders, and mentally powerful people are almost always misunderstood in the beginning. Most people judge based on appearances, not depth. They react to what they see on the surface instead of paying attention to what quietly exists underneath. Millions, but eventually, hidden strength becomes impossible to hide forever. Now your presence speaks before your words do. The calmness in your expression makes people wonder what battles you survived. The discipline in your mindset separates you from the emotional chaos surrounding everyone else. Even your silence feels different because it no longer comes from uncertainty. It comes from control, And maybe the biggest shock for them is realizing how wrong they truly were about you from the start. They expected you to break under pressure. They expected life to crush your confidence. They expected your kindness to make you weak forever. Instead, every difficult experience sharpened you. Every betrayal increased your awareness. Every setback added another layer to your mental strength. Now they finally see who you really are. Not the quiet person they underestimated. Not the harmless version they imagined in their minds, but someone forged through pressure, patience, discipline, and survival. Someone who stayed calm while being tested repeatedly by life. Someone who no longer fears opinions, rejection, or temporary failures because they already survived worse internally. And the truth is brutal for them to accept. The person they overlooked from day one became the very person they can no longer ignore.